It began with a smile, a promise, and a plane ticket. Wang Xing, a 29-year-old digital designer from Shanghai, believed he had found his dream job, a chance to work in Bangkok for an international tech firm. His friends envied him, his family was proud, and he believed the world was finally opening its doors. But sometimes, opportunity hides its teeth behind a smile. His first message from the recruiter was short, polite, professional, just like any other offer. Yet that one email was not a doorway to success. It was a portal to hell. The night before his flight, Wang packed with excitement. He didn't know the photos he shared on social media, his boarding pass, his location, were being tracked by people who already knew his every move. They had studied him, chosen him, and prepared a script for his destruction. The morning sun of January 12, 2025 shone brightly over Shanghai airport, as if mocking his innocence. He had no idea that once he crossed that border, his name would vanish from the world, and when his plane touched down in Bangkok, the city of lights welcomed him with open arms. But behind the neon glow and street smiles, something darker watched. This is not just the story of a kidnapping. It's the story of a digital war hidden beneath our screens. And once you hear it, you'll never look at an online job offer the same way again. The airport was loud, crowded, and alive. Wang rolled his suitcase, eyes wide, absorbing every sound, laughter, announcements, music from nearby stores. His recruiter waved from the distance, a middle-aged man in a gray suit, calm and smiling. "Welcome, Wang," he said in perfect Mandarin. "You're going to love it here." But as they drove through the city, Wang noticed something unsettling. The route kept changing. Neon lights faded into dim alleys, and the smell of food turned into dust and rust. The man's smile never faded, but his silence spoke louder than words. When the car finally stopped, Wang found himself standing before a decaying building with no signboard. The man said it was a temporary office, just for orientation. Inside, the lights flickered, and the sound of keyboards echoed. Dozens of young men sat in silence, typing endlessly. Wang hesitated. "Where's the company?" he asked. The recruiter's tone changed. "This is your job," he said coldly. "Start working, or start running." A door slammed shut behind him. His dream had become a cage. In that moment, Wang realized something horrific. This wasn't an office. It was a human factory, a scam hub where digital slaves worked under threat and fear. His passport was taken. His phone was smashed. His voice, sullen. Days turned into a blur of sleepless nights. Wang was forced to run online scams targeting foreign victims. Cameras watched every move, guards patrolled the halls, and failure meant violence. The room smelled of sweat, cables, and despair. Every keystroke was a cry for help he could never send. He watched others around him, some beaten, some broken, some simply gone. Hope was a luxury no one could afford. One night, Wang whispered to a fellow captive, a man from Vietnam named Bao. Bao said quietly, "They won't let us out." But sometimes the network crashes. That's your only chance. For days, Wang studied the system, memorizing security patterns. He was no longer typing for them. He was typing for survival. Then, one stormy evening, the lights flickered, alarms buzzed, and Wang made his move. He slipped through a maintenance door and ran barefoot into the rain. Behind him, gunshots echoed. Ahead, endless streets and flashing sirens. The freedom he once took for granted now felt like a dream wrapped in fear. The city didn't welcome him. It swallowed him whole. He ran through alleys, barefoot and bleeding, hiding among crowds and shadows. When he finally reached a police checkpoint, he collapsed at their feet. "Help me," he gasped in broken Thai, but help doesn't come easy in a city built on silence. The officers exchanged glances, hesitant. Someone made a call. Minutes later, unmarked cars arrived. Not police, but the same men who'd held him captive. Wang was dragged into another vehicle, this time blindfolded. His heart raced. He had seen others taken like this. None returned. Yet fate had one last twist. As they crossed a checkpoint, a real patrol unit intervened. Gunfire, shouts, chaos. When the dust settled, Wang lay unconscious, but alive. When he woke up in a hospital bed, his wrists bandaged and throat dry, a nurse whispered, "You're safe now." But deep down, Wang knew he was not safe. He had escaped the cage, not the hunt. Interpol stepped in. Investigations revealed a horrifying truth. Wang wasn't the only victim. Thousands had vanished across Asia in similar scams. Human trafficking had evolved, now fueled by the internet. Victims weren't sold on streets anymore. They were sold online, forced to defraud others from hidden compounds. The deeper investigators dug, the darker it got. A name kept resurfacing, Li Zhenghao, once a respected businessman, now the ghost behind the Phoenix Network, a global digital slavery empire. His operation spanned multiple countries, protected by corrupt officials and deep money. Every rescued victim led to 3 more missing, and Wang's escape had triggered something bigger: exposure. Wang's story went viral. Governments demanded answers. The Phoenix Network was no longer invisible, but its eyes were everywhere. Wang was moved to a secret safe house. He met Jia there, a journalist who'd followed his story. She listened, recording every word. But even in hiding, strange things kept happening. Drones outside the window. Unmarked calls, static voices at night whispering. "We see you," Jia told him. "They want to silence you before you speak." Together, they gathered evidence, names, photos, transaction trails. The walls were covered with maps, faces, and red strings connecting everything. Wang realized his story wasn't about him anymore. It was about an entire hidden world of exploitation. But the closer he got to the truth, the closer death came knocking. One evening, the doorbell rang. Outside stood a child holding an envelope. Inside was a single note: "Stop talking, or she dies first." The United Nations invited Wang to testify in Bangkok. It was the first global conference on digital trafficking, and his story was the spark. The world watched as he stepped onto the stage, pale, shaking, but unbroken. Cameras flashed. His voice trembled. "They stole my freedom, but not my truth." He spoke for those who couldn't. He named the faces behind the empire, the governments that stayed silent. The hall erupted in applause. And then in terror, a sniper's bullet shattered the glass above him. Screams filled the air. Guards rushed to cover Wang as chaos exploded around the hall. He survived, barely, but one of his protectors didn't. The image of that man dying in front of him would haunt him forever. The attack confirmed one thing: the Phoenix Network wasn't dying quietly. It was fighting back. After the shooting, world powers united. Operation Phoenix Down began, a massive manhunt for Li Zhenghao. Intelligence units traced his movements across Asia. One by one, safe houses were raided, files recovered, and victims freed. But Li always stayed one step ahead. Every time they closed in, he vanished, like smoke through fingers. Then one night, an encrypted video appeared online. It showed Li sitting calmly in his office. "You think you can end this?" he said, his eyes cold. "The world doesn't want freedom. It wants control." Behind him, the Phoenix logo burned on every screen. His final words sent chills worldwide. The game has just begun. Wang watched the video in silence. He realized Li was no longer hiding. He was performing. A month later, an anonymous tip led authorities to an abandoned factory in Kuala Lumpur. Thermal scans showed activity inside: servers, guards, and possibly Li himself. The team surrounded the perimeter. Inside, hundreds of trafficked victims were forced to run cyber scams. At the center, Li stood waiting. When the agent stormed in, he laughed. "You came for justice? Then earn it." A countdown appeared on the screen. 5 minutes to explosion. Wang, watching the live feed remotely, screamed, "Stop him!" Li swallowed cyanide, collapsing as chaos unfolded. Technicians fought to stop the timer, fingers flying over keyboards. With 3 seconds left, they did it. Silence fell. The survivors were freed. But then the screens glowed again. The Phoenix emblem flickered with a message. Version 2.0 activated. News spread across the globe. Li Zhenghao dead. Phoenix Network reborn. Protests, vigils, and outrage followed. Governments promised justice, but deep inside the system, the network's code still lived, scattered across the web like seeds waiting to grow. Wang gave one final interview, his voice low and tired. "You can kill a man," he said, "but not an idea, unless you replace it with a better one." He launched the Xing Project, a global initiative to rescue and rehabilitate victims of digital slavery. But each night, he still received anonymous emails. Blank, except for one symbol, a burning phoenix. He no longer feared them. He pitied them, because the truth they ran from was already spreading faster than fire. Months passed. The world moved on, but one rainy night, Wang's computer pinged. Unknown file received. The name froze his blood. Phoenix Rebirth.mp4. He hesitated, then opened it. Static filled the screen. A distorted voice whispered, "Did you really think the story was over?" Then a single frame appeared. Li Zhenghao, alive, smiling in darkness. The screen cut to black. Somewhere, a heartbeat echoed. Wang's face reflected in the glow, eyes filled with determination. "Then let it come," he whispered. "This time, the world will fight back." Lightning flashed outside his window, and the Phoenix logo burned once more. The story of Wang Xing is not just a kidnapping case. It's a warning. In the age of digital promises, the most dangerous prisons don't have bars. They have Wi-Fi. They have recruiters. They have your trust. So tell me this. If you disappeared online tomorrow, would anyone know where to find you? If this story moved you, don't just scroll, subscribe. Because the next case will reveal secrets even darker than this. Until then, stay awake, stay aware.